Remember that record that you bought me like 2 years ago? Well, I just remembered that it's sitting in the closet. So I called you up just to tell you I've been meaning to listen to that. I've been meaning to listen to that. Why don't you come over and talk about it? Ooh, why don't you come over and talk about it?
Well, let's talk about this album though. Let's talk about like the themes of the fall off and like we were like we did some algorithm talk, like that helped our algorithm. But I think like what we're talking if we're talking about this album, like I feel like this album is like just like speaking of Euphoria, this ain't about critics, not about gimmicks, not about who's the greatest. It's always been about love and hate. And let me say, I'm the biggest lover. Like that's like this album. Like
Ooh.
it's
I
like
love the
I like
way
where
that
you
you
went with
rap.
that.
The way
shout out Oro Ayasuke, potential future guest. But this album is like the image I get with this album is like in the movie where like the guy has the cast and like someone writes in permanent marker like loser on his like cast, and then someone just like writes the B over the S so it says lover instead. Like, but yeah, it's like kind of I think this album is wrestling with like love and hate. Hate in terms of like maybe not like self-hate, but like self-doubts of like everyone saying I am not in the big three. Everyone's saying that I can't compete. I'm not the greatest after having this very public L. Where in my mind I'm just like being myself. I'm trying to like realign myself to my realist calling, and I think there's also hate in terms of like Fayetteville is this crabs in a bucket ecosystem built on hates, built on like scarcity and violence and death. Um, and then just like comments about like people from his hometown like resenting him for his success, people like actually like hating him, and then there's like just like internet hate of like some guy from Sputnik Music wrote like a 0.5 star review about him, comparing him to Jordan Peterson. There's that, and then there's
Clean your
like
room.
and so like I think there's like self-doubt, and I think to combat that and like the fact that he has reached the pinnacle and the fact that he has achieved so much and like kind of overcame like the self-doubt of like I think I'm great, but I have no physical proof to back it up. And then having the physical proof to back it up and still having self-doubt, still having this like this challenge internally. And I think the two things that help him out is one, understanding that falling off is inevitable. Like falling off, like there is a rise and fall of everything in nature. And to deny that is to deny reality. To deny that is like to just like be delusional, like to be Lil Wayne putting out like the Carter Six. And then like there is wherever there's love, wherever there's hate, love is just around the corner. So like there's like three forms of love. There's like fake love that he has to navigate, parasocial love that motivates him and like he appreciates, and then real love that actually like grounds him, like love of his family, love of his real friends and safety and stuff. And also just like love of hip hop, like paying homage to Mobb Deep, Common, DMX, Tupac, Biggie, all these Outkast, all these folks, loving rap as an art, as like just like all that stuff, and then like loving people. Like I think it's just like those are just a few ideas that I had coming at this album.
intermingling with that hate is like, I don't know, there's a very strong sense of paranoia, and I feel like paranoia comes up a lot with like these bigger artists, but I guess I just didn't realize that he felt the way that he did in relation to being home, so much to where he's like, I might be off this shit in general, like I might not be back in the Ville, you know what I mean? Like that's a heavy thing to come to terms to, but also like wanting home to feel like home, but because you are who you are, you carry this weight and paranoia. That was something that was really palpable that I just didn't like think that. For one, I didn't know J. Cole was really trying to be a hometown guy like this. That was another thing. I was like, hey, Mr. Famous back in the Ville apparently pumping his own gas. But but
Unleaded, so humble.
which I think is cool and I think made me warm up to that project in general. But yeah, just like the paranoia, whether it be from like trying to have some R&R, rest and relaxation, enjoy being out, but like the paranoia of like what takes you out of the city and then like what goes on while you're home. That was, at least for me, pretty striking.
Yeah, for me, it's time traveling and understanding or lack thereof. So I imagine like a J. Cole or Jermaine who's in college in New York and he's trying to figure out like am I actually gonna make this? And then he time travels to 39-year-old J. Cole and kind of sees where he's at and he's both like wicked, I made it, and also damn, like how did this end up this way? Like how did I end up in a place where, I'm being doubted by my peers, by my fellow rappers, by people who adored me. And then I can see like 60-year-old J. Cole like time traveling to the 29-year-old version of him, the 2014 to 16 Cole, where he is at the top of the rap game and trying to understand like how did I end up back in the Ville? Like I was going to New York to chase my dreams. I made it. I'm with Rockefeller. Like how did it end up that, 40 years from now, I'm going to be living in North Carolina again, maybe, taking over my mom's place, still with the same crew. Like, how did that actually happen? So I think that fall off idea for me was the falling off of your dreams and the falling off of your understanding that your dreams coming true is not necessarily the best thing. And so he's trying to kind of like leverage both emotions and using time traveling to understand his own life. That's how I kind of digested
I
these
love that.
two records.
Yeah, I definitely like got the sense that I thought that it was like the framing of the album was cool in that, he has the like he's speaking to a younger part of him for, half the album and then the other half is like kind of present day and taking his station into account and just like looking around and seeing like where it's all gotten him. I did think that was like a pretty clever framing device, and I wonder when he settled on it. He has been. I know that some of these songs, at least on the first disc, my understanding is that he had those kind of done for a really long time. Is that correct?
I
Does
think
anyone
like
know more?
I think he says in like his little like Instagram post, like it's so demeaning, his little Instagram post, but like his Instagram post of like, he says like it expanded into a double disc after the apology. It expanded into like, maybe it just like came off that way. Maybe just like, oh shit, I can put it this way, But.
Yeah, I get the impression that like obviously like KOD came out in 2018 and we're in 2026. So we've got, 7-8 years, depending on when
7,
things
8.
were written. Yeah, 7-8. But I get the impression that at least some of the concept had to have been different from KOD till now. Like I don't even know if at the time, like when he put out 1985, like the last song on KOD, I might be misremembering this, so feel free to correct me, but like I could have sworn that J. Cole like said something in an interview at the time that was like, oh, the fall off, like it's the intro to the fall off, and the fall off is like a project that like is never gonna happen.
Oh,
or something like that. Like it was like he was putting out the like to quote Trump, like concepts of a plan for like this record. I'm sure that like there will be more behind the scenes stuff that comes out about this project, but like it would be interesting to see like what his initial sketchings of this were compared to like how it is now, because in 1985 when he's like sitting down and he's talking to Little Pump and he's talking about be wise with how you're spending your time and your money, otherwise you're going to end up on Love and Hip Hop, like, and then I don't know, it like listening to that song now is a bit like watching remember that HBO show The Newsroom. Like it's like man, J. Cole, like I don't know, like Cardi B wasn't Cardi B from Love and Hip Hop, and
Yeah.
she like was the biggest rapper like on the planet, and like actually raps extremely well, and all this stuff. So I mean, we live in topsy turvy times with everything that's happened since 2018 beyond, but like I wonder how much of him surveying like the changing landscape even before the beef happened, where he's just like, oh, my concept of like what things are going on. And he almost even touches on that in that one song where he uh begrudges hip hop for having an OnlyFans. Whatever that one is on here.
Yeah,
I still love her.
love her again.
Yeah,
Love her again.
yeah.
I love her
Love
again.
again. Okay.
Yeah.
John. Okay.
Yeah, I guess like I think like the to answer that though, I think there's probably a I think FD Signifier has this idea with like artists where To Pimp a Butterfly is the album Kendrick was destined to make. Like I think like whatever, like if he had one shot to make an album, or like his entire life was to like was building to like that album, I think that's it. I think for J. Cole, there's probably like a parallel to Logic. First of all, they talk about being biracial, but secondly, they like and they like preach positivity and all that stuff. One's more homophobic
Who can
though.
relate?
Woo! I think some artists they like make the same album over and over again, and like the like Logic has Ultra 85, and then he also has like his like I think his quote unquote fine. He also had like a retirement album too, which is like kind of like I think both of those albums are like the perfect distillation of his thing. Like I think it's like kind of and like I think this album is a great distillation of J. Cole's thing. And then for both of those artists, your mileage will vary of like if you like J. Cole's thing, then you're gonna love this. If you don't like Logic's thing, then you're gonna not really be interested in listening to like Logic's most refined logicness. So
Yeah, I feel like for the passerby or the non-avid J. Cole listener, you can start and stop around this album. I don't know. Y'all got know a lot more about J. Cole than I do, apparently, because this is a yap sesh, but in the best way. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if where he'll go from here. Did Logic release a post?
yeah, he retired,
Oh,
and then like he
retirement?
like, but I also think like what I think of the fall when I think of like why is he calling this the fall of his retirement album, even though like everyone kind of knows he's gonna come back. Everyone kind of knows this is not his final.
To
He's
be what, like the next Miguel? Because I feel like he's really trying to get into his singing bag, and like even on there was a song where he kind of spoke about what it meant to not be able to push like past like your sound, like if like this is what you're doing and what you're capable of, how do you like stay inspired and maintain and like push past that? If this is like that, in summation, I am J. Cole, like what more does he have to offer? Like sure, he could get into his artsy Coldplay bag, but I don't know if that was gonna like keep the same breadth of listeners that he already has. Or
Yeah. I think it's like, just like I view it as like kind of the conscious button on a run that he had. Like conscious like of the warm up at 2 now. And then like whatever he does after this is going to be a new era. Like kind of like Jay-Z with the Black Album. He's kind of like capping the Rockefeller era, and now he's into his like Basquiat, like high luxury era. And then like he retired again. So like and like Logic, I think he's like capping a run, and then like I'm rapping for fun now. I'm rapping for fun. I'm doing whatever, like with less like kind of in the limelight idea. But yeah,
Yeah, Logic almost seemed like he did that as a sort of reset. Like I'm not gonna act like I'm very knowledgeable about like Logic's discography or anything like that, but when he did blow up with
tits.
the yeah, when he blew up with the Who Can Relate, that was him chasing fame, and he obtained it. And when you're seeing like 7-year-olds like do Fortnite dances and say Who Can Relate, I think that like that made him realize like I've reached a level of fame that like I don't want to be at. Like I actually like taking my art seriously. So he did like the retirement thing as kind of like a like this is my public persona, and we're gonna exit stage left, and then for all those who have been with me or are actually interested in sticking around, like you can do that, but I'm done with the whole you know big pony show.
Big Pony Show.
Yes.
Anyways, I just wrap up themes like some other rappers he's like in this album. He's like Chance the Rapper. He big dayed his career with the apology, and then he's kind of like he is kind of the underdog again. He's kind of underestimated. He's kind of like, okay, let's get back to the pen. Let's get back to my own thing. Um, he's like Lupe, and like he's like from the streets. But he doesn't want to glorify violence. He's like Jay-Z, like where he's like he's an owner and he's like doing a retirement album. He's like Nas. He's like a hood documentarian. He's a storyteller. He's a homophobe. And then he finally and then there's like Andre 2000 and late, where he's like he's like 2/3 the skill of Andre 3000, and then he's also like he's kind of like wondering of just like what like am I gonna rap about colonoscopies? Like why am I like I don't want to like
Oh, colonoscopy would be such a good name for an album or mixtape.
yeah, but like
Oh, that'd be the shit.
do you really want to hear like J. Cole? Do you really want to hear J. Cole like rapping about like putting a daycare in someone's mouth at like 50? Like I don't want to hear that. Like it's kind of like retiring. Like I think he has some Andre in him of just like recognizing like yeah, there's a I'm old. Yeah, I'm not going to compete on the same level as all these young bucks. Like but at the same time I'm like I want to hear from you because like I want to hear someone a rapper get old, and I want to hear like a rapper like kind of like extol wisdom, like impart wisdom onto the youth, and like kind of like I don't want to just hear it be like young people over and over again. Like I think there's that too.
To your point earlier when you were bringing up, I think it was FD Signifier saying, Kendrick was always born to, or like his destiny was, putting out To Pimp a Butterfly, and to that extent, I totally agree. And I think that you can graft that onto a lot of the great artists, and the greatest artists, you can make that argument 2, 3, whatever many times. With Drake, you can certainly make that argument for at least Take Care, if not, maybe another album or two. Where do you think J. Cole? Like, do you think that's Forest Hills Drive? Do you think that's this album?
It's probably Forest Hills, but like I do think this
100%.
album makes a good strong case for that too. I do think it's like a more mature, like it's like 2016 Forest Hill Drive of just like an updated version of like the same songs over and over again. Like I felt a little bit of hollowness with some of 2014 Forest Hill Drive of just like the advice was a little like love yours because there's no such thing as a thing that's better than yours. I just felt like a little bit like a young guy try to tell me like how to like like you don't know shit. You're an idiot. You don't know anything. Like like
But it kind of came through like J.
Yeah.
Cole is an idiot though. Like he is a dummy, and that like I think why I liked that album so much. I can't speak for like its popularity in mass. But I think like a reason why that album struck a chord with me was that it was like this guy who was like pretty young, and he just had the biggest album of his career and like really hit mainstream success with Born Sinner. And it was him kind of like bowing out from what he would go on to do with like Drake and stuff like later on, where he's like, that part of the rap game, like I'm not really about that. Like I want to just like have a good life and be around with the people that I love, and like keep it me, keep it honest, keep it like humble. Look at me, I'm on my bike. Like he didn't have to fold clothes or anything to demonstrate that, but you know it was him kind of like shrinking the circle in a way, but in a way that felt like genuine without being this like caricature of that I think sometimes he's portrayed as
But
by me.
I feel like that's where the meme comes in, right? So you get like the mass amount of like credibility with doing what you do with Forest Hill Drive, and then you go on like the crazy feature run because you're like, I can, and everybody wants me on the song, and I'm gonna have the best verse on the song. So I felt like him being outside, if as it were, was less about like I'm trying to be a part of the flash or like the glitz and glamour, because when he did that initially, it was like I'm not trying to wear chains, I'm not trying to be wearing grills. It was more so that kind of bling bling ification of hip hop. Whereas I think post Forest Hill Drive and doing the feature run, it's like I am showcasing my talent and still playing the humble card, and almost the Drake cosign, but like not as strong. It's not like he's like really lifting people up out of obscurity like Block Boy JB or whatever his name was, but Look Alive. But but to some degree it had a similar weight to it. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd say 100% that he was like trying to get back out there in that same fashion, and more so he was like owning the mastery that he kind of tapped into with Forest Hill Drive. But
For me, it's always the MCU, and it's the Thanos of it all. It's like for me, Forest Hill Drive was his. He was born to rap to make that album, and I think after that, he was gonna sit back and just be like, "Yeah, like I did it. I told everyone how I felt as a young guy, trying to kind of, I guess, showcase my neighborhood, my city, my love, and my understanding of what's most important." But then he looked at the landscape of the genre that he picked and was like, man, like these guys think they can actually do this. Fine, I'll do this myself. And just boom, snatched all the rings. And it's like Infinity War. And he's all these rappers are thinking that they could actually stand up to Thanos. And he's just like, nah, man, I've got all the rings now. Like I went on all your shit and out rapped you on all of it. So I have the rings. But then like Thanos thought he could just sit back and retire and go back to his home planet, having killed half the universe. But there's an end game to it all. And I think that we've fast forward to now, and I think that's why this album can't be the album he was born to make, because he got his head chopped off, right? Like Thanos did. So he's no longer part of that that invincibility. It's no longer inevitable with J. Cole. We know how the story ends. And so this for me, the fall off is like him kind of saying again, like, hey man, I did my best. I obviously reached the peak that very few have reached. And once I got up there to the top spot, I didn't know what to do with it, because I don't think he felt like he was actually going to go into this game and be the number one rapper. I think that he thought that he would go into this and prove that a kid from the Ville can go to New York, get the biggest cosign, drop some records, showcase his ability, and that was it. But once he got like labeled the number one, I think the moment was too big for him, to be honest. Like and not in a dissy way. I know we've been dissing J. Cole a lot, and like Cole, like we love you. Like you're one of the
respect,
greats.
man, respect.
Like mad respect. But I think he realized, and he realizes through this project, like, man, let me just give you all a sampling of the rappers that I love, the Outkast, the Big, the Pacs, just so y'all know, like I understand like what it means to be in this hip hop game and the lineage that comes along with it. And I recognize that again, I was given this chance to be the best, and fuck it, I kind of am, but I really am not. and I'm bowing out from that. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. Like, I think we should be okay with J. Cole failing at being the best rapper alive and then just kind of moving on. Like, it's fine. It doesn't mean that he's not great. It just means he wasn't able to be the greatest. Like a Jay-Z, when he was the greatest, no doubts. Biggie, no doubts. Pac, no doubts. Nas, doubts. Until Hit Boy came around and helped him out. Like, Nas, there were doubts. I think Nas and J. Cole are very, very similar, except that Nas, post the doubt of being the greatest, has now delivered enough product to be kind of considered career-wise one of the greatest.
Okay, two things to that, and then we got to get to like songs. We got to talk about
No, we
side.
don't. No, we don't.
We got to talk about highlights, lowlights, the side A, and then the highlights, lowlights, the side B. But like the idea of one, oh yeah, like you're talking about like Biggie, like the GOAT, the Tupac, the GOAT, blah blah blah, the GOAT, Jay-Z, the GOAT, like, and there's this Rick and Morty joke of just like a pizza place can't claim they're the best every pizza place can't claim they're the best pizza place in the world. What is there, like a pizza judging like committee or whatever, this is all just subjective. This is all made up. Like, this is not like, there's no like object, like there is this is like ice skating. Like, there is a technical quality, like you could like judge, but like there's also like something ineffable. Like, there's opinions. There's like kind of like, what is this guy speaking to me in a particular way? Like, Childish Gambino is nowhere near the best rapper. He's like my GOAT. He's my GOAT for me. The other thing is just like, Justin Hunt had a video about this album, and he said like, this album's for people working at Amazon and the late shift. They have to do a double.
That.
Going platinums in the warehouse.
Yeah, he said that was going to be the craziest like graveyard shift at the Amazon warehouse.
But those guys are so happy. The guy who came up to J. Cole in the Quick Stop song, that like, it's the difference you make. It's like, and it's not for us. It's not like it's not for like reactors who are like at 12 o'clock midnight listening to this album going like, I'm tired, I don't like this song. This is like kind of it that the most fun I had listening to this album was like going through my day listening to this in chunks and going like doing my errands or like going on runs, like when I was like just like needed to regulate my nervous system and stuff. Like, this is like A+ for that, so I think there is something, and not in a derogatory, this is normie music, this is coworker music, this is like for who it touches. It's like that's so beautiful, that's so important. So yeah, who cares? Like, this is all bullshit. This like GOAT conversation is all bullshit. Like, it's
I don't disagree with you,
but where's the but? Because I agree, there's a but here.
Like, I don't disagree with anything that you're saying, Andrew. Like, I think the fact that any music can touch somebody like on this wet, soggy marble that's flying through space, like the fact that we can connect to each other like that is a beautiful, cosmic, eternal thing that is just very powerful to experience. That being said, those kinds of qualifiers of being like, nah, it doesn't really matter. Like, isn't that cool that people at the Amazon warehouse can kind of groove to this thing? Like, these points do not come up when somebody is at the top, right? Like, we can acknowledge that, right?
Yeah. Like J. Cole didn't build this up for almost 10 years for the Amazon worker. With all due respect.
I don't know. Maybe like on some level, for people in Fayetteville, just like his like friends and like all the represent a city and everything.
No, you don't drop like birthday blizzard for that. No,
isn't there a disclaimer too on like 2.6? There's like, this is the hardest I've ever worked in my whole life to make this album. Like, isn't that pretty much what that paragraph says?
Yeah, on that Instagram post he did. Like.
I'll give J. Cole, like, my interpretation of that line was like, he's talking about his like past self, or he's
true,
like young,
true.
Where he's young and hungry, and he's like, this mode that I'm in when I'm in my 20s, I'm working so hard right now. This is going to be like the craziest shit that you've ever heard. And to his credit, 2.6 is definitely one of the better songs on this entire project. You know, he came out right with that one.
Yeah. Well, let's go to let's start with highlight songs for 29 side. Yeah, Dakota, is 2-6 your highlight for the album, like on the side A?
I think that my favorite are, yeah, it's probably 2-6. I think like when I heard that, like that made me perk up my ears a little bit, and I was like, okay, Cole's gonna like 2-6 immediately. It was the most energizing thing that I think he's put out since, like, a J. Cole song, not a feature. I think that is the most energizing thing he's put out since 2014 Forest Hills Drive. Uh Easily better than like any of the albums that he came out with that. So I would give it to 2-6, and then I also did really like Run a Train.
Yeah, let's
That
go.
that future hook was so random, but like yeah, like
Shout out to Kill Tony, like, you know. I know that's not
Kill Tony.
Damn.
But like Kill Edward's like little. I know it's like not technically a Kill Edward feature, but like he kind of like I was like whenever Kill Edward showed up on KOD, I was like, oh brother. But like kind of like this worked. Like this like the deep voice kind of like thing worked in this album. So and on that song.
Yeah, shout out to Future though. Like that
so,
that hook
like,
was insane.
It's so left field for him too. Like, he doesn't really tap into like that register too much. I feel like we know Future for being down here with like the autotune's gritty, blah, 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 blah. But like marrying his upper register with the melancholy of the beat is just like that's subversion. Okay, my hands are up for folks who are listening. Like, you know, the was it Martin Scorsese meme? That's cinema. Like that's subversion. Like,
yeah.
Run a Train, Dakota, I'm right there with you. That was my number one highlight for disc 1.
Let's make that a request support. I mean I wrote like both 2-6 and Run the Train. With 2-6 I wrote, yo, this is the shit I want. Beat goes hard. And then Run the Train I wrote Beat Goes Hard Part 2. Like it's just like that 2-6, like Dakota, to your point, like when I heard that, I'm like, oh, maybe we are boxing. Like maybe this is J. Cole being like, okay, you want J. Cole? Jermaine is here now, and I'm about to knock you motherfuckers out. I love that, and I love the safety of it all. And I Run a Train. The future never sounded better than this. Like he just sounds like he's like channeling his younger self, and he's so raw and wanted to actually fuck the whole world up. So yeah, Run a Train is a perfect song.
And like low key, Jermaine Cole is taking sides. Too late, but he's taking sides.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
I really like I like the softer side of Cole on this side. I like Legacy a lot. I I think it's just like him kind of as a 29-year-old, like feeling like he's looking back while he's like with his love, but like also looking back while he's like hanging out with like he's in a slut phase and hanging out and stuff like but both like the problem isn't like that he's one or the other. The problem is he's looking back. The problem is he's not like present. He's not like picking a side and being present with what he's like, and then like the side B is like the clarity of like, okay, I'm going to choose, my wife, I'm going to choose like,
I love my wife. I love my wife.
I actually like 29 better than 39 personally, because I like the tension and the kind of, there's both the hunger, the confusion, the regret, the promise. Like there's just a lot of different emotions here. Although I agree with you that some songs just kind of are drawn out a bit too much. But I think honestly, as simple as the beginning of 29 and the end of 29 with what's the bonus track, Lonely at the Top. I think those two, I think Lonely at the Top is a great setup for the 39 side, but I think it does a better job of explaining himself than anything on 39 does. And so I like
Oh
that
wow.
that framing of it. Yeah.
I I agree with you. I think that I like 29 just because it's like him. I like 29 more than 39 because 29 it feels like he's kind of looking back, reflecting, taking stock of everything. And 39, I feel like he's doing a little too much like preaching and reaching these like end conclusions that I don't think this album or possibly even J. Cole in general is equipped to kind of
Mm.
land on. Like um I some of the other like 2-6 he's like getting on his hunger. um Another song that I do that I couldn't decide how I felt on, that I wanted to highlight, that like kind of touches on a complete other side of that. I kind of liked the Let Out.
I did too.
uh
Yeah.
like it's definitely one of his more like, oh, I guess J. Cole is like doing grunge now. But like it kind of worked for me. And like that the earlier we were talking a little bit about like the paranoia, but I was like following along with the lyrics like while listening to it, and he does like a pretty good job of setting up the scene of like you're out at the club, and then everyone's going home, and you're like looking over your shoulder, like realizing like, oh shit, I should actually like not have been out here without like a security guard or something, like you know kind of treating closing time as like this apocalyptic, like fearful event.
Yeah.
And like with I can't say that I'm like the biggest fan of J. Cole's singing throughout the project, and like all of these rock leanings did not necessarily work for me, but it did here. I think that this was like a nice zag for him in a project that like I wasn't expecting many zags from.
Yeah, I'm so curious as to like the headspace he found himself in just like recording this, because like just like the structure of the song is a little bit more unique in comparison to the structure of some of the other ones. And yeah, just that rocky type vibe, but also I don't know, I heard a little like Bone Thugs too a little bit in that, which I think, I don't know if I should say as like a global highlight, but just like kind of what Andrew was saying earlier when he referenced all his like references and sort of interpolations. I think when Cole can like evoke those rappers and evoke that history, that's where he's at his strongest.
Two highlights I want to shout out is like who the fuck is you? Like to speak to Dakota is like why he likes 2-6. I really like the way his writing in terms of like I was talking about before. He's great at like free throws and he's great at like layups. Just like he's great at like this sounds like a diss, but it's like a really positive thing of just like you listen one time, you kind of get the punchline. You listen one time and you're like, it's not like Lupe where you like have to loop it back and like, oh shit, this like, but like it's kind of like, but like if you add them all up, like the sum of it is like, man, you got a lot of points. Like the Bone Thugs bar, evil ain't the paper with the eagle, but what they do for dollars. Like that first verse is so good, just like the stacking of the punchlines, like just like to create a thesis. Also, shout out to Zane Lowe, like like
And
shout out
That
to
bar
Zane.
is hilarious.
in
Yeah.
verse 2 on Who the Fuck Is You, going back to what I just said, that 1998 Eminem cadence is like so rewarding. Nobody pulls that out like in modern day. And to be able to do it on like this kind of trap beat and make it effective with the storytelling that's happening, mwah,
Yeah,
this is
Yeah.
hip hop.
this is cinema. This is cinema.
I wrote this beat goes hard part 3 for Who the Fuck Is You. And doesn't it kind of sound like what's that Drake and Meek track? Dun, 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 dun. Last night spoken legal. I got more hits than the Beatles. Whatever, but that it kind of sounds like that track. And I think we talked about this earlier where it's like, did he do 29 before the beef and maybe 39 after, or something along those lines. And I feel like there's a lot of Drake influences around this on this side of the album. And I mean, like, if you're reading this as too late era Drake, which frames it nicely with the 29, right? The kind of the 10 years ago, and that's where Drake was really popping. So I think there's some of that synergy that's there. But yeah, I love the bars on "Who the fuck is you?" Like the Zane Lowe line is hilarious, the Peter line is hilarious, and the Bone Thugs is Chef's kiss. So yeah, great bars in this. I mean,
Yeah.
across the board. Like again, he can rap.
The guy's worst fate is hanging out with being questioned by Zane Lowe. Just like,
Yeah.
you know, like Zane Lowe going like, I was hanging out with Ed Sheeran. What was the inspiration for the album? Just like, fuck
Oh, I
Zane
love
Lowe. You know, it's like I'm starting a new song. Hashtag.
Stanley, what's your
I love Zane Lowe.
recurring note about like the beats? What did you write down?
I wrote "Beat Goes Hard"
Okay.
part 3 on that one.
Okay, so I was like, need the instrumental tape. I have that written down like 3 or 4 times. Need the instrumental
Yes.
tape.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that's my other problem with J. Cole is I think like because he produces, I think sometimes he gets lost in his own sauce. And I think he would benefit from just doing like again, like the Nas model of like, yo, Hit Boy, just make me a bunch of beats and let me just rap the shit out of it and not worry about the production. And I think once we get to 39, for me, the production kind of loses its way a bit because he's trying too hard with that, mixed with trying to keep his level of rapping up. I think it kind of hurts both sides, to be honest.
Many sides. I think like, uh, yeah, I think like he's as a producer, he's just like good at like replicating the 90s kind of sound. Like I think
Yes.
Forest Hill Drive is like really beautifully produced. Like there's strings and like there's like really like there's like a lot of like interesting like pockets of just like tangents and stuff. This kind of just like same beat all the way through, you know, just kind of like yeah, I felt like that. Then the last song I want to shout out though on like highlights is like Hit the Gas. Like the very end, like the last verse is so it made me like I cried like during that song and then I cried during Quick Stop of just like you know the idea of like talking to yourself like 10 years ago versus like 10 years forward and stuff of like you know and like just like I want you to look them straight in the face. Is this a person does this look like you've been making mistakes of just like the like confronting this self-doubt, confronting this like comforting your future like past self while also like if I talk to my past self, there would be a lot I would like be able to like comfort him on of just like, hey, you found your way, you found friends, you found like a like unfortunately that animated series were working on didn't work out and like a lot of things like you made a lot of mistakes but you know you have a diagnosis you have like you have a loving partner you have all these things and then also as like I would also be kind of like if he asked me like my past self asked me like what like I couldn't like there's also a lot of things that is like left uncertain. I'm just like I don't know where my career is gonna go. Like I can't like look at my past self and say like hey everything's figured out everything's like okay you know but like there are things that like I think it's like it's really really beautiful. I think it's like he also like he does the same like he hits one of the J. Cole's 12 rules for like the J. Cole 12 rules of like life is a film that can't be rewound. Like that's kind of like the same thing as like his Forest Hill Drives thing of just like life is a game with no reset at the end. Like like but that's it. Yeah, I think the song's beautiful. Lowlights?
As safety. Well,
Safety.
I like the Unite TY sample. I like the shout out to Queen Latifah, who is like arguably the most popular person in Hollywood, apparently. But I like that like that the 90s throwback to that song particularly. I like. And then I have no other notes, so I'm with you on safety.
the the sound of that song is okay, but so my initial listen of this was like, you know, hearing the James Taylor into 2-6, I was like, okay, J. Cole, are we doing this? And then Safety almost immediately like slapped me across the face and was like, no, this is still J. Cole. And this song feels like he looked at, once again, he looked at Auntie Diaries, and like he took the criticism of his like homophobic bars in the past, and he was like, let me let me write a song, let me have a writing exercise, a storytelling that will like show that I have grown and that like that is behind me. And I think that this song it demonstrates that like at least his head is in the right place. But man, I am sorry if you have the line, but that changed soon as he went to college up there, whiling at A&T, running with fruity types, dick in the booty types. Like, let's just
Wow.
let's let that hang in the air for a second. This man wrote "running with fruity types, dick in the booty types" in 2026.
Well, the thing is, J. Cole did lose the battle. We'd established that earlier, and there's one person that wrote Auntie Diaries, and there's one person that wrote this song. And there's a reason why one person could write Auntie Diaries, and there's a reason why someone else could not.
Yeah.
I think J. Cole struggles with word choice a lot, just across the board. It's not just on this song. I think that he sometimes packs words where they don't need to be in, and he's omitting words that need to be said. So I 100% agree with you, Dakota, that he failed the writing exercise on this song. And there's also another layer to this, and we can go back to the homophobia point, but like Safety is a 3-verse song where the perspective is from the same person. It's almost the stand structure, but we're missing J. Cole's piece. So it's like, as a hip hop historian, like, you should have done the 4th verse, and this song could have come in later, and you could have written the verses a little bit better, and this song could have been amazing, but it wasn't. So Safety falls flat.
He's like definitely talking from his perspective, but it's like it's so clunky in the sense that, like, you know, the one-to-one comparison of Auntie Diaries and Kendrick like reflecting, you know, like his reflexive younger opinions towards like queer people, and you know, his transformation with understanding that, whereas here, like like it's just like, man, somebody get this guy a gold star sticker because he tried. You know, like when he said we turned our backs on him, some of us called him a fuck, and then it cuts out and it goes and then he literally says, nah, times changed, I know that's wrong. Like, it's like, duh, like what, why do that? Why?
Don't speak on it if you're not really gonna drive into it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. It's almost like instead of demonstrating like and identifying the underlying root of some of those old emotions, he's literally doing the most superficial thing you possibly could have done with this topic by being like, see, I'm not saying that word anymore. But it's like, yeah, the word was certainly like the issue, but it's the feeling and, like, you know, what you were connecting in your synapses when using that word that is what we want you to show that you've grown from.
The only like defensive that is like, the song is from, I thought, like, I don't know if it was like, maybe it's like one guy, maybe it's 3 guys. I couldn't tell actually, but the idea that like he's just like, this is from a perspective of like someone else who's living in Fayetteville, someone else like who might have like these more unnuanced views of like queerness and like gay people and stuff, and so he's just like embodying it and then just presenting it, embodying it and just like without any like a filmmaker would just like show like a character, and like this is like this guy, this is what this guy thinks, this is what this guy, without like the
But
filmmaker showing up and going like, I actually think this is
but he
bad, you know.
but he's not using any like devices to really like drive it home, whereas in Auntie Diaries, Kendrick is actually using the slur, but like the repetition has a purpose in a way to kind of set you up for what's happening, whereas this is just like I like that's to me, Andrew, that's not enough. Like I agree with you, but I just don't think it's enough.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with it is that the film in the film, like, you can contextualize. There's room to actually like develop the said character and also create a resolution. And what Kendrick's so good at is making these songs into film like moments. And so Auntie Diaries has a resolution, has, like you said, the repetition of it all shows that there's contextualization, there's comprehension, there's an attempt at giving the audience a chance to get in, kind of see where he was at, and then resolve that towards the end. Whereas J. Cole, like on this one, where he kind of says that line of him saying like, "Oh, we're not going to use it." It's not him contextualizing or showing comprehension. It's just him saying like, "Hey, like on the banned word list on my Google search, this is one of the words, therefore I won't use it." But there is no him kind of saying like, I understand why the word's banned to begin with. There's like a whole, history behind it, and all he's saying is that like, hey, like this character that I'm painting, this character fits everything that I want to fit into that word, but I'm not going to say the word because I know that if I do that, I might get canceled. But there is no actual
Yeah, I'm on a hot
demonstration of
mic right
comprehension.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a hot mic, hot mic.
Yeah, and then just
So
like
yeah.
to again, like the context for me as a J. Cole listener of just like 2 years ago you made that awful homophobia bar, and then also you used the R slur a bunch in like in 2014 and then 2024. It's like you didn't like really grow very much, and like yeah, I just like didn't wasn't really moved. I really like I think that's not the song's purpose is to like demonstrate your growth as like, hey, I'm not homophobic anymore, or like hey, it's kind of just like this is a friend I thought like I feel safe around and whatever. Um Also shout out James Taylor. Like I really that's like that needle drop, like I wasn't expecting it, but when you think about it, like, oh, it's so obvious. It's a song about like looking back, like closing your eyes and like imagining your hometown, and just like, it's like in like a TV show where like, okay, so here's the concept for a TV show. What's the most obvious needle drop? Let's save it for the last episode. Like BoJack with like wild horses, or like horse with no name. That's like the most obvious like needle drop you could do, like The Bear, Chicago by Sufjan Stevens. Like, let's save that for like the end montage or whatever. Like, kind of like just like Atlanta, like elevators. That's like the most obvious one. Like, I really like that. I really like that. It's just like kind of setting the scene of the movie we're gonna watch. Let's go side B, like the volume 2, like 39. So what's a highlight for what are your highlights for this one?
I like the intro. I
I
like
love the intro.
the kind of acoustic sound into that 3-6 Mafia type beat. And it was fire. I think he's rapping really great on this. Like, even God wonder how the fuck could he exist? Like that without the context of the beef. It's like I think it's a great bar to start. That 39. Like, hey, like here I am. I have a full career worth of successes, and yeah, I could see someone kind of look at it and be like, how the fuck did this guy like make it to this far? This far? So yeah, 39 intro is a highlight.
Yeah. It reminded me of Childish Gambino. It's been said on Reddit, but like it feels like they adjusted the good at rapping, good at singing dial. Just kind of like like yeah, I really love especially after like two like kind of intentionally like sleepy songs. And then like, the acoustic section, and then like let me go in, like, and like it really hypes me up. It really works on my runs. I really like the line about like his dog had his back, so he whacked the chiropract. That's so fun. That's so good. Like we never seen a trampoline, but a brick you could flip off that. Like it's just like the fact that he uses one rhyme so that he can go this fast, like is really, really, really fantastic. Rappers gotta be invoked to pose threats. I really love it. I love this song. It's so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I wrote down for this track like J. Cole is at his best when it sounds like he's rapping for his credibility.
Mm.
And I
Yes.
genuinely feel like that's captured here. Like some of the best and like seamless flowing across the whole project on this song.
Yes, that's exactly it.
I really like the vilest. I think that's like I think all these songs really work for me. Like I think like if he just released for me, if he just released volume 2 as just his own album, I'm like, hey, great job. Like you like all really solid concepts, like great intro. I feel good and I'm inspired by it. Like it's like, just like I think I was never really inspired by J. Cole, but this album I felt very moved and inspired by J. Cole. Like I'm in a particularly vulnerable place in my life where I'm like in between jobs and like I'm just like wondering if I'm gonna find my way. And like this is really helping me with that. And then just but the vilest of just like this idea of you can achieve your dreams, but you can't save me and you, like kind of like that. Like I think that's a really um sober like counteraction to like kind of the hope core of this album of just like I can't save everybody. Like uh that's a song I really like. So
Yeah, this song, just speaking to the production a little bit, I'm curious about the timeline. You all were kind of debating on whether maybe this side was a little bit more recent, but either this is sampling or he got Erica Badu to come in to like retrack vocals for a single that's like relatively recent within like the past 6 months. I don't know if you all have heard the Next to You song by Erica Badu. It's like on her upcoming if the album hasn't been released yet, it's a project fully produced by The Alchemist, and like
Nick.
this is like the same beat, to be honest, without some with some additional flourishes. So I'm just kind of curious, and I'm going to do some separate digging into how this song came together because it's really smooth, and it has Erica Badu on it, but this was her song. It's just funny when stuff like that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Dakota, what's a highlight for you like at this side?
I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, like it's kind of tough for me to pick the highlights from this side of the album just because like I feel like taking this entire project like as it is, it's just such a marathon. And like I never get to side 2 with like the same amount of like energy as I do side 1 when it's like starting out. Like I haven't like split up my listening sessions being like listening to 29, we're listening to 39. Like all of my listens have been all the way through. So and if J. Cole didn't want that to be the case, then he shouldn't have made us an hour and 41 minutes long, you know? But I think that 39 intro, like I think that is probably my favorite, like just because it has those different varied approaches. There's a lot going on. There's like 5 songs in that one song. And I'll also give some like I do think that Quick Stop is
Yeah.
is
We're in
is a
lockstep, Dakota.
yeah, like I think that Quick Stop is like a good like if that was the last song, I think that would be way more impactful than Ocean Way or And the Whole World is the Ville. Because I think like he's doing a good job of like, we all have the jokes like J. Cole on the bike, like, he's kind of small beaning himself in this song of just, I'm just a guy at a gas station and this gas station attendant is that J. Cole? Like, and like I think that there's J. Cole here does like a better job than he usually does of like using this scenario to kind of say a little bit about a lot of different things without beating you over the head with it. It's all about his like community, his legacy, his relationship with the art form, with parasocial relationships, like his safety, all of that combined. And I think like the last little bit, what does he say, like in the like the when he's kind of like trailing off?
It's the difference you
um
make.
yeah, it's the difference you make. Like you could really hear like the emotion in his voice, and I really like that. It goes to like what all you were saying earlier, Andrew, of just like it's like even if we're all hating on J. Cole and his music, like it is cool that some people, like, and at the very least people in the Ville, like that they have someone like him, that is propping that up, because I don't hear the Ville getting too many shout outs anywhere else. So it's,
Mm.
you know,
Smallville, I hear like the Ville. I mean,
exactly.
I also had this as a highlight, and I can't say much more than what Dakota already said, but it's like this works where safety doesn't work, right? Where like you're embodying someone, and like just like the emotion that actually gets pulled out. Like I wrote for this like porously human, and I also wrote, wow, there's a soul behind these rhymes. Like, because I don't know, this was something that had elicited a very visceral response from me on first listen. Like I wasn't expecting him to kind of root himself in an experience that wasn't his in a way that showcases the sort of I don't know, everyday sort of druthers that we can have, and like how we as individuals get inspired by these figures and like kind of covet these figures and use them to give us motivation. Him to be able to like see that lens and like wear it honestly was very impactful on this.
Yeah, for me, there's just quickly like the kind of the Nas one mic build up. I think was really cool. Like every verse, kind of the emotion came out more and more and more, and so it made me really think about Nas's kind of output in this kind of forum. Um, yeah, it's definitely a highlight.
Yeah, I think some people, I don't know, I don't want to say like, but like, when I was reading comments and like reading like reviews and like reading like kind of um reaction, like watching reactions to this, I'm like, the people were like, why isn't like more like do a big finish, kind of like just like cap everything off like Avengers or whatever. But like I think the beauty of the song is just like it's like the pinnacle of this album is like it's two humans just like having a human moment together, and like
Mm.
the positive side of a parasocial relationship where um like this person is just like, and like yeah, like art is like not a game to me. Like it's like a lot of art has saved my life, and if I met the people whose art saved my life or helped me during the darkest times, I'd probably have this reaction. And then like this, like the fact that also like this person is inspiring Cole, this person is inspiring Cole to like kind of remember why he's doing it, to get out of his own way, to like um to this guilt he has about the fact that you can't save everybody, but the fact that your art changed this one person's life in this huge like seismic global universal way, like I think is just like, so he sees himself as a human, and then he sees this fan as a human being too. Like this like this there's usually like a separation of just like, I am like
Mm.
so far away from you. And like I think that's Cole's strength, is to like actually connect with people on an individual level, which is like, yeah, I think it's really beautiful. So yeah, I love this song.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. And something that I like, I was trying to think about this album of like, okay, looking at this album, there's 24 tracks. What is the song that you hang your hat on with this? And
Mm.
in a lot of respects, like this album's length and the sheer number of tracks like are definitely working against it. Because I think about Kendrick with To Pimp a Butterfly, which is another like very long listen. Like that album's what, like 70 minutes? Am I remembering correctly?
Something like
Something like
that.
that.
Something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Like that album is not a quick listen, and the subject matter, like it's not an easy listen, even though like it's very enthralling. But there's like multiple points where it's like, man, you know, you could leave it at Blacker the Berry. You could leave it at you could leave it at All Right. You could leave it at what's the name of the last song? When shit hits the fan, are you
Mortal
still a fan?
Man.
Yeah. You can leave, like you could hang your hat on Mortal Man. Like almost every song, honestly, you could just hang your hat on it and be like, yep, like he's trying to say everything there. And I was struggling to do it with this album because it starts really kind of bombastically and then it kind of settles into this mid lower tempo for kind of the duration of the project, other than maybe like the 39 intro. And this is only after a couple listens, so I might be wrong. I might be misremembering. This is a hundred like this is a long album. But I think that Quick Stop kind of serves as that like thesis track, and it's like the closest thing here where you could hang your hat on it and be like, yeah, you know what, like that's kind of what he was trying to do on this album. And if I were to pick one song that would maybe like represent this section of the canon of J. Cole, like it would probably be Quick Stop here.
And to represent like the canon, like his life and his
Yeah.
entire discography. Just like this is like, if you like, why is J. Cole great? Play this song. Why? What is his impact on people? Why does he move people? Play this song. I think it's like it does such a great job at that. Um, yeah. Any other highlights that we want to shout out though?
Just really quick, Man Up Above. I like the
Yeah.
sample is sick. I like the melody, the J-Lo inspired melody. I think it works really really nicely. I think I get really hyped by the Burna Boy feature on Only You prior to this, and then to go into the Man Up Above. I think it's a nice little pairing. Um, yeah. So I'll just quickly just mention that.
Yeah. I like the pairing of Life Sentence and Only You. I think it's like people like compare him to Drake a few times on this album. Like Read My Soul was like doing a reaction and he's saying like, "Oh, this is like a Drake song." But like I feel like Drake doesn't rap about like Drake doesn't sing about like commitments, and like, actually like I'm old now. Like let me like settle in with my main squeeze here. Like I think it's such a I always was a little confused of like what his relationship status was, because like on like 2024, like why are you rapping about like like why are you rapping about with Future about like, man, marriage, like I want to go out and like have sex with everybody. Like I was a little confused about like what is
For
and he,
Drake.
no, for J. Cole. Like
Oh yeah, for J. Cole. Yeah, no, I mean, I was confused on that too.
yeah.
I guess I was so confused to the point that I thought you were talking about Drake.
Yeah.
But
But like for your eyes only is a very much like I have a love in my life. I have a baby now, and like this is such I am so moved by the enormity of like this love I feel. And then like 2024, he's just like talking about like he's rapping with Future about like, man, these hoes are blah, 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 blah. And I was like very confused of like where it was. And he's a kind of private guy about that. So like I really like having this button here of just like, yeah, we've had our ups and downs, and maybe I did have like this phase where I was like a little like figuring things out, but like this is it. Like this is I'm happy we always like, this is my life sentence. I like the positivity and the negativity of that implication too. And like, yeah, I think it's a really beautiful, I think like, life sentence could be the single on this album, like another single on this album. Like it's the most like kind of palatable in like a Macy's or whatever. So
Yeah,
like,
I agree with that. I wrote, this would have gone crazy in 2006. Will this be a radio single? Because it feels like it could, I don't know, inspire some folks to like, I don't know, get back into that sound or like walk down memory lane.
lowlights of this side.
What if?
Wow.
What if it's a
Yeah.
What
low
if you
light?
like the song? Like that should
Then
be a song.
then I'd be a different person. It's just like one, I don't think anyone was asking for a weird conversation between Big and Pac. And then I also think like he had this opportunity to use this idea for the most recent beef that he was somewhat a part of and frame it that way. It's like, what if I stayed in the beef? What if the beef got really serious and more lives got lost? What if Drake won? What if Kendrick decided to incorporate me on his side? And then like there's just so many ways for us to imagine, like what if people's response to me buying out was like, good job, J. Cole, you're actually the bigger man in this. Like, I think the concept would have been cool using something that one he was a part of, and that's way more relevant to 2026 than this, 1990s drama that we've dissected a gazillion times.
It feels this song just feels like so perverse to me. Like it's just like the strangest cope of all time, like what we were saying earlier, like way near the top of the episode, but it's like, is Jay, like, he's trying to rewrite his like part in the beef again, which like we can say it until we're blue in the face. J. Cole probably did the right move by bowing out of it, because I don't think he could have held a candle to Kendrick rapping, or like I don't think anything would have really happened between him and Drake. But like J. Cole can make the right move, but his issue was that before he made the right move, he made a ton of stupid moves, and then after he made the smart move, he continued to make a ton of stupid moves with Grippy, Port Antonio, where he's, being like, but if I really tried, like, like, man, like, just stop. And so him turning, like, him very obviously making the allegory of like, well, you know what? If Biggie and Pac just did what I did, they'd both still be breathing. And it's like, man, shut the fuck up. Like these are two titans who like died. Like, I don't know if you should, I don't know if it's right to be like speaking like this, but
And the irony with all this time travel going on this album, if they had reconciled, we probably wouldn't have J. Cole.
Wow. like um
Oh.
it's like a Marty McFly with his mom situation. Like but I don't know. I like, obviously I think that your point of like this is perverse, this is kind of gross to like use these dead people to like kind of do this is a little like the Marvel what if is fine because they're all made up, but like these are real people and these are real lives and stuff, and like it's pretty like, but I don't know. At the same time, it is like I think like I don't care about him coping about the beef. I don't care about like I don't just like show me your like the 2004. It's all done. We already that's been covered ad nauseum. I just want what I like and what I want is for you to express your worldview and express your um humanity. I think like that, and I think the song does that. I think the song does like um the same way like it's technically the right decision for him to stay out of the beef. It would also be this what would be a better world if they were able to like reconcile and like own like their behave, like own the things they did wrong, like and like kind of like talk it out and work it out and stuff like that. Like
yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
like again, he's not wrong, but like I I wouldn't care about him like talking about the what was the phrase that you just said, Andrew? Like you don't care about him something with the beef?
Coping with the beef, really. Like,
Coping with the beef. Correct. I wouldn't care as much about him coping about the beef if it so clearly wasn't still weighing on him. Like the post that he made on Instagram when he was rolling out this album, and he explained that it is now a double disc album. He like literally says like the beef is like naming Voldemort. Like he's like, I had a bunch of this album written, and then after the events from 2 years ago that still fuel our algorithms, it became a double disc. And it's like, man, like you still can't say it. Like you're gonna honorably bow out, but you can't just be like, yeah, last year after that crazy rap beef that like I regretted, and like it got me thinking about the state of hip hop and the competition and my place in it and all this stuff. Like he couldn't just say that. Instead, he had to be weird and be like, yeah, that crazy thing that's still fueling your algorithms, also clean your room. I'm J. Cole Peterson over
Shapiro.
here. Like, yeah. No, now Andrew texted me asking if he still thinks that I think J. Cole is Jordan Peterson, and Jordan Peterson is irrelevant now, and J. Cole is still relevant, but he's waning relevance in a world he doesn't quite understand. So I think that he's Ben Shapiro. Because now the right wing has advanced too far for Ben Shapiro, and Ben Shapiro is desperately trying to pretend like he's still one of the premier voices.
Wow.
Okay, the one pushback I'll have on this is just that like J. Cole like knows Drake and knows Kendrick on a personal level, and J. Cole is an active participant in the game of rap, and so I could see him having trauma from what happened to the point where he can't even name it because it's still very traumatic for him.
Yeah.
And so
the same way like Voldemort like killed his mom, Mary's mom and dad.
Bro, that baby saw both of his wizard parents die.
Yeah, that shit's hard, man. That shit's hard. I just don't think that using this like the beef where two people died as a way to cope with it. Like I think like I think he should have addressed it head on. And I think the humanity you're talking about, Andrew, like Quick Stop is literally next. So he gives you the humanity on Quick Stop. He gives you his perspective on the game of rap and the business of rap and the emotion of rap on I Love Her Again. And so this one, I think he could have just been like, listen, like fuck the humanity of it all or the rap of it all. Like here's me as a human, as a person, as an artist, trying to cope with the idea that, hey, I had enough opportunity, I passed on it, and I tried to get back in, and I couldn't. And now I got to deal with that shame or that regret for the rest of my life. And this is my perspective on that.
I definitely I know that we've talked about the beef a lot, like with this album, but like I think the frustrating thing about the fall off, like in its relation to J. Cole, who is a largely extremely frustrating artist, is that like you can't talk about this album without talking about those other things. Like it's so intrinsically linked with like the story of J. Cole, and he has tied up this album, his legacy, the concept of falling off, like the concept of being like a bigger man, and just like all these ideas. Like, he's been just saying this ad nauseum for years at this point. So like you can listen to this album all hour and 41 minutes of it, but like that's still not the full story of like what this album is and where it is in his career. And like, that's why you have to judge this album on like 5 different fronts, which is like, how do you feel about disc 29? How do you feel about disc 39? How do you feel about the whole thing? How do you feel about this ending J. Cole's career? How do you feel about this like coming after the events that still plague our algorithms or whatever?
How do you feel about Kill Edward?
Kill Tony's.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Kill Edward said on like Trump's thing? Like,
oh God. Who did Kill Edward vote for in 2016?
I think I know.
I guess like real quick, let's talk about I Love Her Again. Speaking of Ben Shapiro, but beyond the problematic parts of like him comparing him, like I know it's a common thing, and I like FD Signifier had a video about this of just like it literally like takes the torch and runs with it of just like Common's like Common's third verse was about like Atlanta, like about like gangsta rap and how that like changed the course of hip hop. And then like the same day like the Source Wars happens, like Outkast said the South has something to say. So it's literally like taking the torch and like continuing the story to like modern day. I really think that's really cool. I like the way he kind of like does a common flip at the beginning that isn't the obvious song, and then he says he says common sense. He sets up the story in this song way better than Safety. Like I think it's a little. I really like the idea of just like him going like him feeling like jealous that like hip hop has like is a fugly slut that's like slept with all these rappers and stuff like that, and like he feels jealous that like he felt like he had the crown of like the best artist, and then hip hop was like, but it's not like a thing that one person can possess. Like I really like that idea of just I really like the idea that like the essence of hip hop is just a thing that you have for a while and then you pass on, and you have to accept the natural order of you have to accept the natural law of just like um hip hop is not one person's. Hip hop is, it's actually like a basketball team. Like, like we're on the same team basketball wise instead of yeah, I think that's a cool idea, but yeah.
Hmm.
I think the line about the barbershop guys not feeling the slang and then end up saying cap. I thought that was really funny. Just speaks to how like no matter like what direction something goes, if it's like zeitgeisty or permeates the culture, it'll wind back up like affecting you as well in some form or fashion. So yeah, I just thought that was hilarious.
Is he taking subs at Jay throughout this whole thing? Like it's a line, like I mean
Love Her
throughout the whole
Again?
album. But yeah, he says
Probably,
yeah. She said I gotta tell you I done rocked a lot of fellas. And I mean earlier you talked about the so-called king. And it's just like I don't know, man. Like really? Like
That's what I'm
I don't know.
saying. He's trying to call the old guys out of retirement for some reason. It's like
I didn't take that as like a shot at Jay. I just thought it was like the whole thing is like, hip hop is a woman, and Jay-Z, Rockefeller, like I don't know. His relationship with hip hop is like clearly linked to Jay-Z. So I didn't take that as a shot on him, but maybe it is. I don't know. I mean, I haven't like combed through every line on this album.
Yeah. I think like the something I want to say about this song is like he does a flip of Lupe's line of just like I was much too young to truly know what constitutes the difference between a girl next door or a prostitute, which is like a flip on a Lupe Fiasco line. Like he says like what constitutes the prostitute is the pursuit of profit
Pursuit
or
of
something.
profit.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So like I think there's a tension here, like especially the third verse of like he sounds very Ben Shapiro-y of just like, your P word's getting watered down or whatever. Like he's kind of like he's like kind of like doing he sounds a little right-wingy, like, what's with these girls on OnlyFans and then like clicking the link anyways and stuff. But like he also is like the idea that like hip hop is being pimped out, poisoning the youth, and like he says that in the first song 2-6, and like it does like it's like this hyper capitalist, hyper individualist thing. It's like this like and like the spirit of hip hop is being used for like the wrong ends, like kind of like nefarious ends on some level. But like there's like a tension between like him being right and the tension of him being sounding like Ben Shapiro. That's like I think an interesting idea. And like him still choosing to love it anyways, I think is a fascinating way to look at the song.
Yeah, but I think the pimping that he's referring to is the music industry and by extension like white America. And so I don't see this as like Ben Shapiro or right wingy. I think it's him kind of calling out the capitalist kind of oligarchs and being like, listen, like this girl that we all love because she grew up in our neighborhood and we wanted to be with her, and I get it, like she's loved and loved by every guy in this neighborhood. So of course she's gonna get around and get a chance to be with whoever she wants. But at the same time, she's not being utilized as an OnlyFans model to again to pimp out, so to speak, to pimp out, this art form and this reality that people are actually kind of living through by the worst kind of pimp, which is capitalist, kind of westernized, white America, white supremacist kind of way of looking at music. And so I don't think that he was like, oh, I think it was more like fuck y'all for doing this to the girl I love. And I'm only with her because I love her so much. And I know that she's being fucked over by you. And so I'm gonna try to protect her, but at the same time, other people are trying to protect her too. So it's like it's not just my responsibility, but it's the one I really want. And yet I'm gonna fail because ultimately I don't have the ability to protect her.
Stray observations of both discs. Anything we haven't talked about that you'd like to shout out real quick?
Just shout out to the features. I think all the features for the most part did either what they're supposed to do or added a lot of uh texture to the album. I think without those features, it'd be a less enjoyable project. So everyone did great. Peter Pablo did great. Burna Boy did great. Like Thames, like everybody did great.
Uh, I don't think we have the time for this, but there's certainly like another entry point to kind of see what J. Cole was trying to do with the like roll in peace cadence, like on Bounce Road Blues, and like using the Kodak Black kind of melody from that song. So there's like a linkage to Mr. Morale in some form or fashion. I did not get to parse that through yet because this album is very new as of this record. But yeah, there's something there. And got to listen to XXX Tentacion when listening to that song again. So that was just like, I remember him.
It'll be interesting to see like what people continue to mine from this album and like where people kind of land on it. I mean, this album is so new. It's been less than a week, so this is less a I've been meaning to listen to that and more a I just listened to that. So like I feel like there's a lot of unknowns. I mean, obviously, like we've heard the thing multiple times. I think I listened to it in full like 3 or 4 times. And it's a very dense listen and it feels very hard to pierce at times given its Herculean length. But the more that we find out about what went into making it and where just people land on the discourse, like who knows, maybe people end up thinking that this is a classic, or maybe in 2 months people will be posting, hey, remember when J. Cole made a retirement album and nobody cared? Like, we don't know that yet. So I think that there's a lot of threads that J. Cole pulls on in this record. And I think, like you, Andrew, saying like about, some of the really dark thoughts that he was having, like, I wish that he kind of explored any one of those threads like a little more given the length, because I feel like sometimes the songs are just kind of going from one thing to another without making them like coalesce. But yeah, I mean, those, like, I guess all my stray observations are just like, I got to figure this out.
Yeah, let's go through final thoughts and ratings. The way this works is we'll rate this album out of 10 with a fun metric at the end. Dakota, you kind of like said you're kind of, it feels like you're kind of like doing that a little bit, but like what's your final thought? What are your final thoughts on ratings?
Yeah. Um yeah, this is definitely a tricky one. I think that this is a top 3 Cole album. Uh album at least. I don't want to speak too confidently about like his early like mixtape stuff. But I would probably put this behind Forest Hill, and I still have a lot of affection for Born Sinner. So I'd probably put this top 3 behind those two. But even still, it comes with a lot of qualifications and reservations like about my project as a whole on this. Because like, one of the main things is, again, like this thing is 24 songs and it's an hour and 41 minutes. And I'm not going to grade you on a curve just because there's two clear sides. Like, you put this out as one big project and you're responsible for making my time feel like it's worth it, and all 24 of those songs hit. And that's a really hard thing to do. Like, even with my favorite artists of all time, if they were to drop something like this, I would be like, relax. I would do the J. Cole picture in the background. Um, like, so
Stop right there.
like I feel like, to continue with like the right wing illusions that I'm very thanklessly lopping onto J. Cole. Like, he's kind of like the rap game Steve Bannon. He's just flooding the zone with as many songs and ideas as possible. And, it's just your job to filter through them and figure it out. But yeah, the heart's there. Like, I think that this is a good note for this iteration of J. Cole's career to go out on. I don't think it's the best version of whatever he could do with this. Like, but that's for future, this crew to kind of parse through when we have more time to digest it. But as of now, I'm probably feeling like I don't know. I'm feeling 6 James Taylor intros out of 10.
Yeah, rest in peace to our goat. But yeah, yeah, I think, so when we did the Blueprint, the Black Album episode, we talked about what makes a good retirement album. We talked about, him, J. Cole, like the artist, ending up in a better place than when they started. Like the satisfaction of like seeing the point A to point B, being satisfied with where it is. I'm mixed on that, but like I do think he's in a better spot than he was when he started. Then there's like, is it a good like brick of J. Cole? Is it a good like demonstration of what he does well? I think it is. I think it is a really good demonstration of what he does well. And then finally, like, is he on top? No, but like it's like you don't have to be. That's fine. Not like not everyone's on the top. Like it's lonely at the top because not a lot of people are there. And like you did scale pretty high. You did scale pretty high. I'm proud of you, J. Cole. I think like the world's better for you, making your art, and like I hope you make more. And I was very moved by it in lots more moved by it than most J. Cole projects. I think this might be just like, I need more time of it, but this might be number one for me. I think there's some like basicness in the concepts, and then like skimming the surface on like the depth, kind of like just like mentioning that like, Capitol Hill is doing this, like kind of like just skimming the surface and like, but as a trade-off, working on a very human to human level, working on a very just like I can connect with the regular person. I can connect with people because of my heart and because of like, all that. So I'll give side A 6 out of 10, and then side B a 9 out of 10. So that averages out to like maybe like 7.9 or so, like yeah, I'll give it an 8. Yeah, I'll give it 8 sorries out of 10. So like,
I'll quickly go. I, Once upon a time, Kobe Bryant retired, and in his last season, he dropped 60 points at home, and it was amazing. It was historic. It was so cool to see. He also took 60 shots that night to get the 60 points. And so a lot of volume. And I think this album is there are 60 points, I think there. It's just that he took way too long to score those buckets. And so for that reason, today I'll give this 7 beats that go hard out of 10. But that might change in a month or two or 3, 4, 5 years from now. So good job, J. Cole. We love you. You are bar for bar one of the top 10 MCs of all time. It's just not that serious. So if you're listening to this, it's too late. You bowed out. You're not top 3, but you're still good. And we love you. Jermaine.
All right. Rounding out the reviews here. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic about my affinity for this project after only having digested it honestly like 2 listens. It's deep in the sense that there are a lot of tracks. Some of my favorite stuff, as I mentioned, is him kind of trying on all of these flows of old or these interpolations or some of the highlights for me. Yeah, J. Cole's never been my GOAT. That's pretty well known, I think, at this point. But for me to go in with like a cynical point of view and then listen to the project and be pleasantly surprised, I think that says a lot. Yeah, J. Cole, good job, man. Good job. I'm gonna give you a good job. How about that? I never thought I'd see the day when I say good job, J. Cole, and here I'm doing it. Yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna give this 7.5. Fuck do you know about your mains out of 10.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, I think to conclude the episode, that this episode of The Fall Off by J. Cole, that was the wackest shit I've ever done. You know, who here loves Zane Lowe? It's like who think Zane Lowe's the GOAT? No, but like that was our episode of. Sorry, what were you guys saying?
I was gonna say the worst thing. I was gonna say, was this episode grippy?
Sure was. Yeah, and you can follow me at Andrew Ambrose Lee. You can follow Dakota _with.
Don't follow me after that.
Make 2 accounts and follow him twice. You can follow Stenley at Snap the Sten, John Butts at John Butts here, and Dakota, you're our guest this episode. Any final sentiments?
No, thanks for having me on this side of the pod. You know, it's always good to hang out with you guys, and this was fun. You know, I think that given that all of us went into this project with so much trepidation, like I think I really enjoyed this conversation. You know, I feel like we talked out some complex feelings with the man who let Nas down.
Yeah, and thanks so much. I let try to think of a music journalist. I let Lance Bangs down. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good day. Click.